In the bustling halls of Evergreen University, freshman Alex Harper immersed himself in the world of cultural legends, a course that ignited his imagination like nothing else. The year was 2015 and Alex, with his messy brown hair and a backpack stuffed with notebooks, spent countless hours delving into mythologies from around the globe. From the Norse gods of Scandinavia to the ancient spirits of Mesoamerica, each story offered a glimpse into humanity's collective fears and dreams. But it was the African segment that captivated him most, starting in March when the professor assigned a deep dive into the continent's diverse tribes and tales. Alex pored over maps and texts, tracing the rich tapestry of beliefs across nations like Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa. Yet, when he reached Tanzania, his search hit a wall. The college library, with its towering shelves and musty aroma, yielded nothing specific. No books on Tanzanian tribes or their folklore. Frustrated but undeterred, Alex turned to the internet, though he preferred the tangibility of printed pages, which felt more trustworthy than the fleeting digital world. Online, a few websites provided snippets of Tanzanian legends, stories of ancestral spirits and shape-shifting creatures passed down through oral traditions for millennia. Alex scribbled notes on tribes like the Maasai and Sukuma, their myths involving heroic warriors and mystical animals. He summarized tales of the Nyamwezi's creation stories and the Chaga's volcanic deities, feeling a thrill at the ancient wisdom embedded in each narrative. Then, buried in the search results, he stumbled upon an archaic website from 1998, its design clunky with pixelated images and outdated fonts. It mentioned an obscure group called the Beja tribe, inhabitants of southeastern Tanzania whose existence dated back to unknown eras, possibly predating recorded history. The site claimed the tribe had vanished in the 1970s, with the most detailed records from the early 1960s. Numbering around 100, they lived in isolation, far from modern civilization, fiercely religious and resistant to outsiders. Anthropologists were met with spears and shouts in an unfamiliar language, and only one researcher in 1961 managed to translate and learn a fraction of their ways. The Beja guarded a vast, unexplored territory beyond their village, warning intruders away with violent displays. When questioned, they admitted even they hadn't fully ventured into it, adhering to borders set by ancestral tales. These stories spoke of a forbidden triangle, a region harboring unspeakable horrors tied to the dark underbelly of their mythology. The elders refused to elaborate, insisting avoidance was the only wisdom. Alex leaned back in his chair, intrigued. This sounded like Africa's own Bermuda Triangle, a land not revered but dreaded. Eager for more, he searched variations like Baja Tribe or Beja Forbidden Land, but the web offered nothing else. No forums, no articles, just silence. Disappointed, he decided to ask his professor, Dr. Elias Thorne, a grizzled expert with decades in folklore studies. Dr. Thorne knew obscure cultures that barely registered in academic circles, so it was worth a try. To Alex's surprise, Dr. Thorne's eyes lit up at the mention of the Beja. "Ah, yes, a fascinating enigma," he said, stroking his beard. He recalled a rare book from his personal collection, purchased in 1988 from a dusty bookstore in a quiet town near Lake Michigan during a research trip. The volume had detailed the tribe more thoroughly than any online source, but he'd stored it in his attic, locked in a chest, for reasons he couldn't quite recall. Perhaps its unsettling content or a vague sense of caution. Busy with other projects, he hadn't revisited it. The next day, he brought the book to class, its cover faded and pages brittle with age, coated in dust. "Handle it carefully," he warned, handing it to Alex. Back in his dorm room, with posters of ancient ruins on the walls and a desk lamp casting a warm glow, Alex gingerly flipped through the yellowed pages, avoiding tears as he sought the section on the Beja. The book echoed the website's facts, but in more eloquent prose, describing the tribe's isolation and their encounters with outsiders. What set it apart was an appended account, a first-hand narrative from 1963 by Aldenir Aberoan, one of 3 daring explorers who ventured into the Forbidden Triangle. Alex's pulse quickened as he read, the words pulling him into a tale of curiosity turned terror. Aldenir wrote of living in Dodoma, Tanzania's capital, with friends Gom Tbby and Rio Uma, sharing a modest apartment filled with maps and adventure novels. They'd first learned of the Beja from a newspaper article about an unidentified man who vowed to enter their off-limits land and disappeared. A year later, the mystery lingered, fueling their decision to investigate. It was reckless, perhaps foolish, but the allure of the unknown was irresistible. They equipped themselves with essentials: backpacks, water canteens, and electric prods borrowed from Rio's zoo job for defense against wildlife. They joked about the Beja mistaking the prods for divine lightning, dismissing the tribe's beliefs in gods and demons as superstition. Rio, the zoologist among them, speculated the horrors were undiscovered cryptids, mutated animals unique to the area, like oversized primates or striped felines altered by some natural anomaly. Skeptics at heart, they didn't anticipate mythical beasts but rather scientific curiosities. On May 17th, they embarked in their rugged jeep, the drive arduous over bumpy roads and dusty plains. Gom, the most reluctant, shivered at thoughts of the missing man but joined to avoid letting his friends down. Hours later, they arrived at the Beja's remote village under the evening sun, hiding their vehicle behind rocks near a baobab tree. In the distance, a weathered jeep, likely the vanished man's, stood abandoned, battered by weather. Proceeding on foot, they spotted huts and patrolling guards armed with spears, the entrance to the triangle a massive, smooth rock wall reminiscent of a miniature uru, topped with sparse trees. Using binoculars, Rio scouted while Gom photographed discreetly. To bypass the guards, they crouched through tall grass, finding a concealed gap in the wall from fallen boulders. Slipping through, they entered the forbidden triangle, an immediate hush falling over the landscape. No wind, no birdsong, just eerie silence. The ground was rocky, leading into a valley flanked by stunted trees. Gom snapped another photo as they trekked, the air thick with anticipation. Signs of life were sparse. A massive black tarantula scuttled from its burrow near Gom's feet, startling him. Emerging from the valley, they reached a clearing with shrubs and a muddy pit holding the skeletal remains of a bull elephant, its skull frozen in a silent scream, one tusk missing, a vulture pecking at lingering flesh. The sight was macabre yet mesmerizing, hinting at recent death. As the sun dipped, they hurried on, flashlights at the ready. Passing thorny bushes, they encountered steps carved into a blocking boulder, clearly man-made. Beyond lay ruins, meter-high stone structures crumbling with age, built by Beja ancestors skilled in masonry, unlike the modern tribe's straw huts. Perhaps stone was reserved for sacred purposes, Alex pondered. Rio discovered pictograms, hunters pursuing lions, figures with elongated heads likely deities. Gom gripped his prod tighter, nerves fraying, but Aldenir reassured him myths weren't real. Descending a steep slope into another valley, strange bird calls echoed like ominous chants. A troop of monkeys leaped out, one impaling itself on a spiked rock in a gruesome accident, its comrades fleeing. The sight was too horrific. They averted their eyes, vomiting avoided only by haste. Gom begged to turn back, but Rio insisted they owed it to the missing man. The terrain widened into a plain, the triangle's walls distant. Hiding behind a baobab, they watched a pride of lions with vivid red stripes prowling the grass. Not albinos, but something unnatural. What kind are those? Gom whispered in awe. Rio urged pressing on with weapons ready, but Aldenir pointed to approaching zebras. Expecting a hunt, they prepared to photograph, but the lions fled, the zebras pursuing viciously. Several caught a straggler, biting and kicking until it fell, then disemboweling it alive. Carnivorous zebras, Rio gasped, stunned. No known biology explained this. Zebras turning predator, lions striped red. The scene defied science, suggesting the triangle's anomalies ran deep. Waiting until the herd departed, they crossed the plain, suspecting these beasts might have claimed the man, though no body appeared. At the plain's end, a river emerged from a cavernous hole, wide and nearly silent. Prods in hand, they followed its muddy banks, boulders and vine-covered walls flanking them. Shoe prints in the mud, human, recent, suggested the man had passed this way, perhaps still alive. The walk lasted half an hour as darkness fell, the air chilling. They donned jackets, flashlights piercing the gloom. Rio's beam caught a terrifying face on a pole in the mud, a wooden mask with wide eyes and golden feathers, eerily pristine. Gom swore its eyes followed him. Pressing on, the river vanished into a scrub forest under tangled vines, tall trees emitting odd animal sounds. The interior felt warmer, hiding potential threats. Gom panicked, refusing entry, but Rio's insistence prevailed. They couldn't leave Gom alone. Insects chirped invisibly. A red-eyed blackbird vanished from Aldenir's light. Heading north on the clear path, assuming the man's route, Gom yelped as a branch struck his face, scattering birds. Calming him took 10 minutes. Treading over sharp branches for half an hour, they avoided toxic plants and a rotting gazelle corpse. Exiting the scrub, another narrow valley led to a cave entrance, its stalactites and stalagmites like fangs. Rio raced ahead, waiting as they caught up. Inside, the cave was pitch black, reeking of bat guano. Prods ready, they navigated wild formations, flowstone columns, deep pits, suspecting the man fell to his death. After 15 minutes, unable to search drops without gear, they reached a tall wall with a gap, a Polaroid camera on the ground, the man's. Before examining it, a moaning voice echoed, "Help me. Please help me. I cannot be tortured forever." Real, not imagined, it chilled them. Lights on the gap revealed nothing, but terror gripped Gom and Rio. Aldenir grabbed the camera, finding a crumpled, blurry photo on the floor. A skinny, malicious humanoid hanging in the gap, demonic. The voice pleaded again, "Don't leave me." Screams erupted, Gom and Rio fled, dropping prods and camera. Aldenir followed, their panicked escape risky but successful. They vowed never to return, regretting the venture. Later, reporting to authorities, they suffered rage and depression, suiciding that year. Alex closed the book, stunned by the tale's obscurity and claimed authenticity, complete with photographic evidence. The acknowledgments revealed publication by a Tanzanian firm, intended for paranormal and security authorities only, illegal for outsiders. The rest detailed African legends, perhaps to contextualize for authorized readers. Alex understood Dr. Thorne's attic storage. The forbidden triangle held dangers no one should seek.